Thank you, Ben. Now, let's get to my cruise expert, the beautiful, the lovely, wonderful cruise lady she is, and she loves to travel, and her method of seeing the world is via cruise ships, even though she flies the friendly skies some too, but mainly she loves cruising. Let's give a big welcome to Miss Shannon. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hey.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You're quite welcome. I know who you are, but would you please tell my royal viewers a little bit about who you are?
My name is Shannon Sours. I have been cruising now for almost 30 years. So
Wow.
I'm a seasoned cruiser.
Well, you don't look that old. I mean, you look so young. I mean, what'd you do? Start as a baby?
I started young. I'm married. I don't have any children. I have fur babies, and I love to travel. That's one of my favorite things.
So tell us a little bit about your cruising experience. What got you? I mean, I guess when you took your first cruise, did you just fall in love with it? Tell me about your cruise experience. What got you to want to take more and more?
My first cruise, I was very young, and I did fall in love with it. You know, it's just a fun way to travel and see different places. You only have to unpack once. You know, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to go to different hotels and different towns to see different places. Your hotel moves with you, and that's what I like about it. I like that one-stop shop.
I love that too. Yes, I call it my floating hotel resort.
That's right.
You know,
that's right. Yes, and it is very much like a very nice resort. Everything you need is there. You have your spa, you have your pools, your gym, fine dining, just all sorts of options. So there's a lot of things to do, and a lot of people like the casino. I'm not a casino person, but some people love it. So that's fun.
So I gotta go jing 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 a little bit, you know.
Now I enjoy going through there and watching other people, but I don't have that much luck. But
well, Lady Luck tends to shine on me at the casinos.
That's great.
Except for this past trip on my Norwegian cruise, my friend Geneva that went with me, she was the one that won the slot tournament. I came in second place. I'm like, how did you beat me? You know.
That's great.
Well, she said it was beginner's luck.
Oh, okay.
Well, Miss Shannon, tell us a little bit about some of the cruise lines you've been on, and what would you tell someone, you know, that was asking you, what do I need to know if I want to go on a cruise? Now, give some of your personal tips before we get into my tips, and if they overlap, so be it.
Okay. I've cruised mostly with Carnival. I like Carnival. They offer great service, great employees. Of course, all the employees I've ever met on cruise ships are just wonderful. I've cruised a little bit with Norwegian. I love them as well. I'm looking to branch out to other cruise lines in the future. First, I would say get to your cruise port a day or two early. And I would say the further it is from your home, the earlier you should get there. And I'm going to give you a good example. On my last cruise, I was going out of Norfolk, Virginia, which is about a 5-hour drive from my home. And I had a flat tire 3 hours into the trip. So that was stressful. So, you know, and luckily I was spending the night about 2 hours from the port. And I was able to get a tire the next morning at 7 a.m. and get on my way. But it made me get on the ship later than I could have because of my status. I could have gotten on about an hour earlier, but because of things that happen, you never know. But luckily we were planning ahead and we were already on our way the day before. Had that happened the day of, we would have been in bad shape. You know, there's no telling what would have happened. But I would say get to your cruise port 1 to 2 days early. Even cruising out of Charleston, I'm 3 hours from Charleston, and I just to give myself a rest and relaxation the night before, I always go to Charleston, spend the night, and then the next morning I'm up and I'm relaxed because I know the port's only about 15 minutes away, 10 minutes, you know, and so I don't have to stress.
Well, that's good. That's a good tip too.
Yeah.
And I have a question for you, Shannon. From what I know, let's just say you miss your ship. You can't get on at another port, right? I mean, you just kind of like SOL.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that initial embarkation if you miss it, you missed it. And if you don't get trip insurance, you don't get any of your money back, So trip insurance is important to look at as well. In fact, another example from my last cruise, which was recent, we were supposed to go to Bermuda for 3 days and, stay overnight. And there were 2 hurricanes brewing. So we were rerouted to the Bahamas, which was, it was fine. The weather was beautiful there. We got to see 3 different islands. So, but I really felt sorry for the people that had never been to Bermuda, but because we had been, my husband and I, but you just have to kind of roll with it, because the ship's going to do the safest thing. They're going to take you somewhere that you're not going to be in harm's way. So, you have to deal with stuff like that.
Well, that's good to know too, because, a lot of people, they think, oh, we're going to go to Bermuda and come back or whatever. But like I said, if there's kind of like those friendly skies, you just have to kind of go where you can.
Right.
And it's not the ship's fault that weather prevented you from going where
that's right.
you're supposed to go. And they take you somewhere or other, at least give you some benefits.
Right. And they usually Facebook groups, like for the cruise you're going on. This is a tip that I forgot to add to my list here. Usually you can put in the date and the ship and where you're sailing from, and there's a Facebook group, and you can build a community with people and get to know people before you sail, and they kind of share stuff with you. Mm-hmm. Like people I met on this ship, some of them were traveling the day or 2 before, and they didn't get the email saying that we had been rerouted. So they didn't even know that we weren't going to Bermuda until they were on the ship, which is, we knew because I got my email, the night before. So, yeah, those Facebook groups are a good way to meet people and learn a lot of things that you may not know. So that's another good tip.
I like that. And that's the thing. Let's say, I like to travel pretty much by myself. I mean, because when I travel, it's primarily for work.
Right.
This is kind of what I'm doing. So it's nice to know that I can connect with some people before I get on the ship. So, you can go on the tours, it's with a group and feel safe, but it's nice to know someone, hey, can I sit with you guys at dinner? Or, I'm going to this auction, or y'all going, or, there's a play that they're going to put on in a theater. Can I go sit with, just that thing is the camaraderie that you get with other people.
Yes. And we've made friends every day. We met new people and talked to just wonderful people. And it's so nice. It's so nice it's a nice way to meet people from different places. So
it really is. Yes.
Another tip. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what was your next tip? That's what I was going to ask you.
Okay. Another big one is to research your ports before your trip. So I like to go to YouTube, and I like to look up the port, even the port you leave from, because they can give you some parking tips. In fact, I did that because I had never sailed out of Norfolk. So I wanted to know the best place to park because they had several options. And I think we made the right choice. Also research your ports, because then you can see kind of, people will take you along with them and kind of show you what they do, and then you can decide if you want to do that or not. So I like to research my destination ports before I go. So that's another good tip.
And you said you found a good place to park in Norfolk. Can you share where that was at, or where to go online to find out?
Yeah, it's a lot called Asphalt Parking Lots, and a couple of guys created the company, and they shuttled you on vans from their lot to the port, which is not very far. It's about 11 miles, and it's like half the cost of what it costs to park at the port, and the lines are shorter. So I thought, well, if this is going to be easier and cheaper, then it's for me. Oh, yeah. So that's what we did. That's what we did.
That's gallivanting like a royal right there.
Right.
I mean, you get to where you're going, you're saving money, because we take that money and spend it on other things.
That's right.
Hey, because money matters, right, Shannon?
That's right. The more you save, the more trips you can take.
Exactly.
Another tip I would say is to try to pre-book everything you can. Excursions, you can pre-book those. Wi-Fi on cruises, some people may not know this, Wi-Fi is not free. It's kind of expensive, and it's tiered. You have like a value plan, a social plan, and like a premium plan. And if you need to work a little bit, you got to get that premium plan, and that's going to run you about $20 a day. So you just should plan for that. And if you pre-book it before you get on, then you get like a discount. So, you know, if you know you're going to want to buy some pictures, then you can buy a package before you get on and get a discount. Spa services. If you know you're going to get some spa services, if you book those ahead, they give you a discount. So if you pre-book things, another thing with pre-booking on excursions is you don't have to worry about it getting sold out, because a lot of the popular things will sell out. And if you wait till you get on board, you won't be able to do that. So that's another good tip. That. Yeah.
And Shannon too, or tell the audience, let's just say that you booked like I did on my last cruise last minute. The day that you book, I mean, you embark on that ship, go ahead and find out they have daily deals that day. Like for me, if you want a spa package and you can book it, you know, on the pre-booking, because sometimes they don't allow it because they don't have enough space, I guess. So you have to book it that day, but you get discounts. And normally they'll gather you in a room if you pay attention and give away raffles. So we've been looking for those things. You know, they offer that on different packages, and it loved up for me. So yes.
That's a great tip. Great tip. Because they have those raffles because they want people to see the spa, and they'll have spa tours, and they'll tell you the time, and you go there and somebody's going to win. So if you don't go, you can't win.
That's true.
You know,
and usually there's only a handful of people. I think there was maybe 25 on my last cruise. Granted, my ship was small, with total passengers was 2,600, but still that was a handful of people compared to the amount that could have been there.
Right. That's right. Let me see. Another tip I will tell you about cruising is to keep your phone in airplane mode. You join the ship's put your phone in airplane mode, and then join the ship's Wi-Fi. And that way you don't get all that data roaming and all those crazy charges when you get back home. I had a friend. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and just in case you don't put in airplane mode, or you think you're connected to the ship's internet, oh no, you'll get an email from your provider saying, oh, you done maxed out $50 like that, because it costs a lot to use your phone on the cruise ship.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And that's why I tell people that are cruising to do that, to put your phone in airplane mode, use the Wi-Fi, and then you can talk to people via apps instead of using cellular data or cellular roaming. You can use the apps, and there's no charge for that. So that's another good tip to save money.
Yes.
And stay connected.
And find out, like I say, you know, these Facebook people, find out what rooms they're going to be in, their staterooms, so you can call them on the phones. That's one thing. They have the old handheld phones. I mean, you know, dial up phones. But then if you know the room number, you can call and leave a message. Hey, I'm going to be going to dinner tonight at 6 p.m. If you want to join me, here's where to meet me at.
That's right.
You know, because sometimes even with the ship's internet, sometimes it's spotty. You can't, you can't connect. You know, it's just according to how the wind is blowing that day.
That's true. And I'll tell you another story that happened quite a few years ago. I won't say how many, but this was before cell phones were it was before smartphones. That gives you an idea. It was in the early 2000s. And I met this couple, and she wanted to call back home to talk to her children. And she thought if she bought a calling card on the island, that she could use that calling card on the ship, and it was paid for. And then she got this huge bill. And I said, no, honey, you can't. If you call home from that phone in your room, it's going to cost you a fortune. Yes. So, you know, I think people know that, but some people don't know that. So that's another thing that people need to know. Don't try to call home from those phones in your cabin either. Yeah. That would be astronomical.
And just because you buy the international plan with your cell phone provider, that does not cover being on a ship.
No,
that's when you're in the port walking on their land.
That's right.
On that ship, that international package does not work.
That's right. Yeah. Let me see. There's another one. Oh, it's not all inclusive. So yes, your meals are included, your entertainment, the comedy shows, the theater shows. But there are extras. They have a lot of ships have specialty dining at night, and there's like a surcharge to go to those special restaurants. There is no extra charge to go to the main dining room. And I have run into people on recent cruises in the buffet, and they didn't know that they could go to the dining room and there was no charge. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I wonder how many people are on this ship and don't realize they can go to the dining room. But you can
Probably
go to the dining room. Yeah, you can go to the dining room for breakfast, and you don't have to stand in buffet lines. You don't have to fight for a seat. You have a table, you're seated, you're served. And then the dining room at dinner. We go every night. I just like it. I go to the dining room for breakfast, and I always go to the dining room for dinner because I enjoy that. Yes. Some people enjoy the buffet. I enjoy the dining room.
Well, now, since you brought up eating in the dining room, I've got to share another tip that you just made me think about. The beverage package. I don't drink much. So buying that beverage package really would not do me justice. I'd be wasting my money.
Me too.
And now the wine per glass is a little bit more expensive on the ship, but I think it's not that bad. I mean, I think the one I wanted was $12 a glass. Okay, which is not bad. However, I could buy the whole bottle for $48. And that would at least give me 4 or 5, maybe. Well, what I found out was they're really good. You buy the bottle, they put your name on it, and whenever you want some wine, you can just get out that bottle. You just show them your room number or whatever, and they'll go get your bottle of wine and pour your glass. I'm thinking, now this is kind of cool, because if you buy the wine by the bottle, it's a lot cheaper than buying it by the glass. And if you're going to have wine, say 1 glass of wine with every meal, every dinner, why not just go ahead and buy the bottle, save you some money, unless you drink a lot and you need that beverage package. But that's a big savings.
That is a big savings. Another thing, now that you brought that up, if you have 2 people in a room or 4 people in a room, everybody that's over 21 in that room has to purchase the package, because they don't want you sharing. So, for a couple, a 6-day cruise, a drink package for alcohol and all that other fancy stuff is almost $900. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
so just think, everybody in your room would, like me, if we were sharing a room and you got the beverage package, whether I wanted it or not, I would have to get it.
Right. And I just don't think that's fair, but